Hello and welcome back to my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. Let's begin. Up on Coronet sat a 16-year-old boy along with his partner Pikachu, Lucario, and Eevee. The boy had long spiky black hair with light blue streaks and wore a red cap with a white semicircle on it. He had a blue jacket with a white circle near the top and a pair of fingerless gloves. His auburn eyes had a strange, light blue shine. He was known as the champion of the mountain. His name was Ash Ketchum. Pikachu sat on his shoulder while Eevee rested in his lap, and Lucario sat next to him. The rest of his Pokémon were resting and training behind them. It's been 5 years since it happened, Ash thought aloud. Lucario asked, "Master, are you okay?" Pikachu and Eevee echoed their concern. "I'm okay, guys. Sorry for worrying you. I was just thinking about that day." Ash trailed off, deep in thought. Flashback 5 years ago. They had just won the Alola League, and Ash and Pikachu were racing home. Ash couldn't wait to see his Pokémon and everyone to share the news. He ran inside his house, calling out, "Mom, I'm home." His mother walked into the room, exclaiming, "Oh honey, I'm so glad you're home." She hugged him tightly and added, "All your friends are waiting for you in the backyard. I'll go cook you something good to eat." When Ash got to the backyard, he saw all his past traveling companions with grim looks on their faces. Sensing the tension, he asked nervously, "Hey guys, what are you doing here?" "We have to tell you something," Brock, one of Ash's longtime friends, said. "What is it?" Ash asked. "We want you to quit your dream of becoming a Pokémon master," Misty said. "What?" Ash and Pikachu exclaimed in unison. "We all agree that you should quit your dream," Ash, May added. "Yeah, face it. You're never going to become a Pokémon master. You've never even won a league," Dawn said. "You bring a horrible, bitter taste to the table," Syllan remarked. Ash stared in utter shock at the scene before him. Then it all hit him: his friends Betrayal and Bonnie and Max standing up for him. Unable to take it anymore, Ash ran out of the house towards Professor Oak's lab, with Max and Bonnie following closely behind him. Inside the lab, Ash explained to his Pokémon what had happened, and they were furious with what his friends had done. He put all his Pokémon into their Pokeball and found Professor Oak. "Professor, do you have a way for me to carry all my Pokémon at once?" Ash asked hurriedly. "Why, as a matter of fact, I just developed a new advanced Pokédex called the Nanodex. It has information on all Pokémon from every region, even the newly discovered ones. It also has a map and allows you to carry as many Pokémon as you want," the professor explained. "Thanks, Professor Oak," Ash said gratefully. He put on the Nanodex and stored all his Pokémon in it. He decided to head to Coronet to train. Just then, the door slammed open, and Max and Bonnie rushed in, locking the door behind them. Bonnie explained to Professor Oak what had happened, and Gary walked into the room, asking, "What's going on in here?" Bonnie started the explanation again, and both Gary and Professor Oak were shocked at the news. Professor Oak gave Gary a Nanodex and told him to go with Ash. Gary agreed willingly, and the professor also gave Max and Bonnie one. Ash's was blue, Gary's was orange, Bonnie's was yellow, and Max's was green. They packed their bags with Pokémon food, berries, healing potions, and other items they thought they might need. After bidding goodbye to Professor Oak, they left. Ash let out his Charizard and Pidgeot. Ash and Max climbed onto Charizard, while Gary and Bonnie got onto Pidgeot, and they all flew to Coronet to train and get stronger. They knew that one day, they would cross paths with their former friends again and show them their true strength. End of Flashback. Ever since then, Ash and his true friends had been training together. They were all strong, but none were stronger than Ash. He was the champion of the mountain because many had come to challenge him, but all had left in defeat. His friends usually refereed the matches, but occasionally, they were challenged by trainers themselves. People believed that living and training with the champion of the mountain made them strong, and they were right. Even though Bonnie and Max were new to being trainers, each had only been beaten a handful of times, and the same could be said for Gary, while Ash maintained his winning streak. Another significant change was that Ash, Max, and Bonnie had become legally recognized as siblings. They signed papers to make it official. Ash also changed his name on his license to Red Satoshi, allowing him to enter tournaments without being recognized. However, his friends still called him Ash, and everyone who challenged him knew him as Shadow. Ash. Dinner's ready. Gary called out. Ash placed Evie on the ground and joined his friends for dinner. They lived in a cave but had made it feel like home. After finishing their meal, they returned their Pokémon to their Pokeball. Max's starter was Trico, and Bonnie's starter was Fennekin. Bonnie's team included Braixen, Altaria, Deden, Flareon, Fletchling, Amora, Barometis, Tyrant, Azurill, Gorbis, Cutiefly, Snom, Wooloo, Milcery, Alcremie, Hattrem, Flababy, Galarian Ponyta, Gossifleur, Indeedee, Sinistea, Shiinotic, and Morpeko. Max's team consisted of Grovyle, Gallade, Growlithe, Ponyta, Blitzel, Rufflet, Phantump, Drifloon, Munchlax, Seadra, Murkrow, Nickit, Berserker, Darumaka, Galarian Form, Thwackey, Squovit, Obstagoon, Dreadnought, Centiskorch, Karkle, and Toxel. One day, a Pidgey flew towards Ash and delivered a letter. After the Pidgey flew off, Ash opened the letter and read it. Dear Red Satoshi, I hope you received this letter, as that Pidgey is not one of my best messengers. You and your friends have been selected to participate in the annual Championship Trainers Tournament. It will take place on Boon Island, exactly 2 months from now. You will choose between contests or battles, which will occur every other day. To participate in either, you must get through the preliminary round, where trainers will face off in double battles based on the category they signed up for. You may use 6 Pokémon but can change your team after the preliminary rounds. Hotel rooms and other necessities will be provided at no cost for you and your friends. However, the traitors will have to pay. Hope to see you there. Best regards. Scott. P.S. Ash, do you know how long it took me to find you? About 5 years. I hope you come to the tournament. What? Is it, Ash? Max asked as he approached. It's a contest and battle tournament, Ash replied. Wow, that looks fun. Bonnie exclaimed, peering over Ash's arm at the letter. When is it? Gary inquired. It's in 2 months on Boon Island, Ash answered. Should we go? Gary wondered. Yeah, let's go. It'll be fun. Bonnie said enthusiastically. Later that night, Ash was dreaming when he heard a voice say, "Wake up and go outside." He woke from his dream and looked around, finding no one there. He got up and walked outside the cave, where he saw a blinding flash and closed his eyes. When he reopened them, he found the god of all Pokémon standing before him. Hello, Ash. It is good to see you again. I have come to give you a gift, Arceus said, teleporting them to the Hall of Origin. Ash looked in awe at his surroundings. The Hall of Origin was a giant dome-like place with smooth, deep blue walls. In the middle of the room was a large aqua-blue pool, surrounded by thrones of various sizes and colors, each occupied by a legendary Pokémon. Young Chosen One, we have seen what happened 5 years ago, and we all think it was terrible. We have agreed to give you a gift, and now we think it is time, Arceus continued. After a pause, Arceus said, our gift is us. Ash stared in confusion until it dawned on him. You mean you want me to catch you? Ash asked in awe. Yes. You have helped us all in different ways, and now we wish to repay you. We want you to use us in the tournament and help avenge you for the betrayal by defeating the traitors. However, you must not tell anyone or let anyone see that you have us unless it is in battle. Not even your friends. You must not answer any questions about us or how you obtained us. The secret will come out in due time. Is that understood? Arceus asked. Yes. I will keep the secret until it eventually comes out, Ash promised. Good. Now you may catch us. Ash caught all the legendary Pokémon except Arceus, who then teleported them back to Coronet. After catching Arceus, he returned to the cave to sleep. The next day, everyone trained for the tournament. Bonnie practiced contest moves and created new combinations while the others trained their Pokémon for battles. I think I'm going to train on my own today, Ash said casually. How come? Gary asked, raising an eyebrow. I just feel like it, okay? Ash snapped, walking off. Gary exchanged glances with Bonnie. Anyone else suspicious about that? He asked. He probably just wasn't feeling well, Bonnie suggested. Gary had a nagging suspicion that wasn't the case, but he shrugged it off. Ash went to his special training spot, a beautiful secret place known only to him and his Pokémon. It featured a sparkling waterfall and plenty of trees, filled with various berries. He released all his Pokémon, who chose sparring partners. Then he threw a Pokeball and called, Lucario, come out and show me your aura. Lucario emerged and asked, what do you need, Master? Lucario, can you please guard our training area and ensure no one approaches with your aura? Ash requested. Of course, Master, Lucario replied, walking off to guard the area. After a few hours, everyone took a break from training. Lucario returned to inform Ash that someone was approaching. Ash recalled all his legendary Pokémon and moved toward the source of the aura. Ash, there you are. Lunch is ready. What were you doing? Gary called out. I was just training for the tournament and resting with my Pokémon, Ash replied. Well, come on. I'm starving. Gary urged. I'll catch up with you, Ash said, returning all his Pokémon to their Pokeball. He released his legendary Pokémon, retrieved food from his backpack, and fed them while keeping an eye out for anyone approaching using his aura. Once the legendaries finished eating, he returned them to their Pokeball and walked back to the group. 2 months later. Everyone was preparing for the tournament, packing everything they needed, including potions, berries, and other supplies. They planned to leave that afternoon since the tournament was in about a week. Well, guys, looks like we're ready to go, Ash announced. Everyone nodded in agreement. Charizard, I choose you. Ash exclaimed. Altaria, come on and help me out. Bonnie called. Skarmory, let's go. Gary shouted. Braviary, come on out. Max yelled. After days of intense training, Max's Rufflet had evolved into a strong Braviary. They each hopped onto their Pokémon and set off for Boon Island. In Kanto, Iris, Misty, Brock, May, Clement, Serena, Dawn, and Sylvan discussed the upcoming Championship Trainers Tournament. Have you heard about the Championship Trainers Tournament? Misty asked, having received an invitation. Yeah. I got a letter for it. Dawn exclaimed. Me too. May added. They all nodded, confirming they had received invitations as well. Should we go? Iris asked. Of course. It will be fun. May replied. Yeah, and it could be practice for my upcoming contests, Dawn agreed. It will give me a chance to polish my battling skills so I can be a better gym leader, Brock added. Me too. That way I could become a Dragon Master sooner, Iris chimed in. Yes, it could help me get stronger. Plus, this tournament brings a good taste to the table, Sylvan said. Then it's settled. We'll enter the tournament. Misty declared. We can invite Ms. Ketchum and Professor Oak to watch too. May suggested, and they all nodded in agreement. Come on. We don't want to miss the ferry. Dawn shouted back at her friends. They had invited Delia and Professor Oak to the tournament, and when they agreed, they all headed to the docks to catch the next boat to the Sevii Islands. There's no need to rush, Dawn. Clement responded. Yeah. We still have half an hour until the boat leaves, May added. I wonder how many trainers will be at the tournament, Misty said thoughtfully. I wonder how the competition will work, Iris pondered. Didn't you guys look it up? Sylvan asked. What? Dawn, Misty, and Iris replied in unison. Sylvan sighed, explaining that the letter they received only stated when and where the tournament was being held. It says that you will have to choose between contests or battles. To participate in either, you must get through the preliminary round. The preliminary round will pit trainers against each other in a double battle based on which category you signed up for. You will be allowed to have 6 Pokémon, but you can change your team once the preliminary rounds are over, Sylvan detailed. The group listened intently, knowing they needed this information to plan a good strategy. There will be 2 winners since the tournament is split into 2 sections for contests and battles. Each winner will receive $5,000, 100 Poffins of various types, and 100 Poke Puffs of different types. Afterward, the group enjoyed ice cream and spent their spare time shopping for supplies. A half hour later, the loud blow of the fairy horn sounded, prompting them to rush onto the boat. As they set off, the group felt excited to finally be on their way to Boon Island and the Championship Trainers Tournament. However, what awaited them there would be the biggest surprise of their lives. Meanwhile, Ash and his friends were nearing the Sevii Islands. They had to take several breaks since their Pokémon were getting tired from the long journey from Sinnoh to Kanto. About an hour later, they landed on the designated island and marveled at its beauty, with lush green palm trees and bushes full of various berries. They headed to the Pokémon Center to give Skarmory, Charizard, Altaria, and Braviary some rest and to sign up for the tournament. Ash decided to use a fake name for the competition, thinking it would add an element of surprise when he revealed his true identity after winning. He smirked to himself as he signed up. Next, they booked rooms at the Pokémon Center Hotel, with all expenses covered by the Pokémon League committee. Each room was similar, featuring a big TV, a cozy couch, a wooden table, and a kitchen equipped with pots, pans, and a mini fridge. The bathroom was well appointed, and the bedroom had a 4-poster bed with a reading lamp. After settling in, Ash, Gary, Max, and Bonnie met in the lobby. So, now what should we do? Gary asked. I heard there's a fancy new restaurant just down the street, Bonnie suggested. Ash and Pikachu's stomachs rumbled in agreement. Sounds great, they all decided to head there for lunch. Meanwhile, the other group had arrived on Boon Island and signed up for the tournament at the Pokémon Center. They also got rooms in the hotel and decided to have lunch. Where should we go? Iris asked. I heard there's a new restaurant down the street. May said excitedly. Yeah, and it's fancy too. Dawn added, her eyes sparkling. That brings a delectable taste to the table, Sylvan remarked. How do you know? You haven't even eaten there yet. Misty joked, and they all laughed. Well then, let's get going. Clement said after they finished laughing. They headed down the street and entered the bustling restaurant. As they looked at the menu, Brock's attention was drawn to a familiar face in the crowd. He tensed, locking eyes with the last person he wanted to see, though he had somewhat expected to encounter him there. Quickly, he looked away and nudged Clement to get the others' attention. Once he did, they all looked at him expectantly, waiting for him to speak. I looked at them and spoke the 3 words that had been on my mind since we locked eyes. Ash is here. Ash's friends were chatting while he took in the fancy scenery around them. The wood carvings on the table were impressive, but his attention was drawn to someone he didn't want to see. When their eyes met, he felt a tension in the air. The other person quickly looked away, returning to the menu. Ash kicked Gary lightly in the shin, prompting an annoyed response. Ow! What was that for? Gary exclaimed. I have bad news, Ash said, his tone serious. What is it? Gary asked, sounding demanding. The traitors are here. Bonnie and Max looked shocked, while Gary's expression turned to disgust. Ash glanced toward the other table, and his friends followed his gaze, spotting the traitors, who also appeared taken aback. It seemed Brock had informed them of Ash's presence. After finishing their meal, Ash and his friends left the restaurant, followed closely by the traitors. The traitors decided to devise a plan to confront Ash and headed to the cafeteria of the Pokémon Center. "So, how are we going to talk to Ash?" Misty asked the group. "We could wait until he comes out and then ask him," Iris suggested. "No, that wouldn't work. He would just get mad and refuse to talk," May replied. "We could force him to talk," Clement chimed in. "Great idea, Clement," Serena said enthusiastically. "We can surround him next time he's alone and use our Pokémon to get his attention." Unbeknownst to them, eyes were watching from the shadows. A few minutes earlier, Ash had entered his room, locked the door, and headed to the kitchen to grab a bottle of ketchup and 2 fruit cups. He returned to his bedroom, where Pikachu and Eevee jumped onto his bed, while Lucario sat quietly. Ash tossed the ketchup onto the bed, and Pikachu quickly grabbed it. He opened the fruit cups, placing one on the bed while holding the other. Eevee eagerly started eating. "I choose you!" Ash shouted, throwing a Pokeball. Marshadow, I want you to spy on the traitors and see what they're planning," Ash instructed. "Okay. See you in the shadows, Master," Marshadow replied before disappearing. Ash sighed, "So, when are we going to train?" "We can train when Marshadow gets back," Pikachu said. A few minutes later, Marshadow returned. "Did you hear anything?" Ash asked. "They're planning something against you, Master," Marshadow said. "They intend to ambush you when you're alone and use their Pokémon to intimidate you." Ash smirked. "Well then, we'll just have to go out alone and show them how strong we've become." His Pokémon cheered in agreement. "Thanks, Marshadow. I'll be sure to get you some marshmallows later." Ash formed a circle with his hands, concentrating hard as a beam of light shot out, creating a portal. Pikachu and Eevee dashed in, while Lucario walked alongside Ash. Marshadow floated into the circle of light. They emerged in a dimension Ash had created with his aura, a training and relaxation ground away from the crowded hotel. Inside, a vast forest awaited them, complete with ponds, lakes, and trees bursting with berries. In the center stood a massive tree that grew all kinds of food, including Ash's favorite ketchup. Ash released all his Pokémon, including his legendaries, and they trained for about 4 hours before taking a break to relax and eat. His water types swam in the ponds, while his grass and flying types rested in the trees. After 2 hours of rest, Ash returned all his Pokémon except Pikachu, Eevee, and Lucario, and headed back to his room. He closed the portal and checked his phone, which had no signal in the alternate dimension. He found several missed calls and texts from his friends, including Gary, Bonnie, and Max, all eager to connect with him. Oh! Gary had a diverse team of Pokémon, including Blastoise, Arcanine, and Electivire. His roster also featured Umbreon, Flareon, and Rillaboom, among others. Each Pokémon brought unique strengths to his battles, showcasing his strategic prowess. Bonnie, another skilled trainer, had her own impressive lineup. She trained a Braixen, Altaria, and Deden, along with a Flareon and Fletchling. Her team was a blend of power and charm, making her a formidable opponent. Max's Pokémon team included Grovyle, Gallade, and Growlithe. He was known for his dedication and the bond he shared with his Pokémon, which often gave him an edge in competitions. Brock, a seasoned trainer, had a well-rounded team featuring Steelix, Chansey, and Sudowoodo. His experience and knowledge of Pokémon types allowed him to excel in battles. May's Pokémon included Blaziken, Swablu, and Glaceon. She was known for her passion and creativity, often finding innovative ways to use her Pokémon's abilities. Dawn's team was equally impressive, with Piplup, Mamoswine, and Togekiss among her favorites. Her determination and friendship with her Pokémon shone through in every challenge she faced. Sillon, a talented chef and trainer, had a unique team that included Pansage and Crustle. His culinary skills often complemented his training style, making him a memorable character. Iris, with her love for dragon-type Pokémon, had a powerful team featuring Axew and Dragonite. Her adventurous spirit and connection with her Pokémon were evident in her battles. Clement, a brilliant inventor, trained a variety of electric-type Pokémon, including Luxray and Heliolisk. His intellect and creativity made him a unique trainer in the Pokémon world. Serena's team was a blend of elegance and strength, with Delphox, Sylveon, and Rapidash among her favorites. Her journey was marked by growth and the bonds she formed with her Pokémon. Each trainer had their own story, filled with challenges, victories, and the unbreakable bonds they shared with their Pokémon. Misty's Pokémon, 27. Golduck. Corsola. Gyarados. Staryu. Starmie. Casarin. Azurill. Politoed. Mantine. Goldeen. Squirtle. Seal. Horsia. Vaporeon. Remoraid. Clamperl. Finneon. Alomomola. Clauncher. Bryon. Wishiwashi. Shelder. Milotic. Pyakumuku. Barboach. Poliwrath. Slowpoke. Ash quickly called Gary back. Ash. Gary yelled into the phone, causing Ash to pull the phone away from his ear. Pikachu shook his head and sighed, while Ash glared at him. Eevee and Lucario snickered in the background. Where were you? Max and Bonnie said you weren't answering their calls and texts. Gary continued. Ash couldn't reveal that he'd been in an alternate dimension. Only he and his Pokémon were aware of his aura, making it difficult to explain. My phone died and I couldn't find my charger, Ash replied bluntly. Okay. Anyway, could you come down to Battlefield 7? Max, Bonnie, and I are going to train and have some practice battles. If it's not too late, we might do a battle royale, Gary explained. Okay. Be there in 5, Ash said before hanging up and changing his clothes. Pikachu hopped onto his shoulder. Are you guys coming? Ash asked. Nah, I think I'll stay and take a nap, Lucario replied. I will stay too, Master. Someone has to look over Eevee, he added. Hey. I'm not that bad. Eevee protested. Ash and Lucario rolled their eyes while Pikachu stared at Eevee, blushing. When Eevee noticed, she blushed back. Air. Let's go. Pikachu said, and Ash smirked. Ash grabbed 2 fruit cups from the mini fridge, giving one to Lucario and opening one for Eevee before heading to Battlefield 2 hours later. Ash and Pikachu returned to their room to find Eevee and Lucario sleeping peacefully. Ash checked his Nanodex and realized it was already 8:45. He quickly took a shower and changed into his pajamas. Pikachu curled up next to Eevee and fell asleep, while Ash got into bed and soon drifted off. The next day, Ash woke up to find Lucario, Pikachu, and Eevee still asleep. Pikachu was sprawled out, and Eevee was nuzzled against him. Ash snickered, knowing they both liked each other but were too shy to admit it. He had an idea and turned his Nanodex onto camera mode, snapping a picture to show them later. He got up and made breakfast, preparing 8 pancakes, 4 for himself, 2 for Lucario, and 1 each for Eevee and Pikachu. Soon after, Lucario walked in on Ash eating. They both sat on the couch watching the news, waiting for Pikachu and Eevee to wake up before training. Remembering the picture he took earlier, Ash showed it to Lucario, who snickered, aware of the shy romance. Just then, Eevee and Pikachu walked in. Ash waited until they finished breakfast to show them the picture. When he did, they both turned bright red, rivaling a Blaziken's fur. Ash and Lucario burst out laughing. What? Eevee exclaimed. That was photoshopped. Pikachu shouted, which only made Ash and Lucario laugh harder, causing Pikachu and Eevee to blush even more. Pikachu grew irritated after a while. "Shut up," he yelled, but they continued laughing. Pikachu. Pikachu shocked both Ash and Lucario, leaving them covered in soot. Now it was Pikachu and Eevee's turn to laugh. "Why you?" Ash had a mischievous idea. "Come on out and assist me," he called. Pikachu, Eevee, and Lucario wondered what he was up to, but they soon found out when a certain tricky fox Pokémon emerged from the Pokeball. "You wouldn't," Pikachu said. "Oh yes, I would," Ash replied. Pikachu ran at Ash as fast as he could, but he was too late. Zorua had seen the picture. "Ha ha ha," she laughed. "No!" Pikachu yelled. "See ya," she called, returning to her Pokeball. Pikachu. Pikachu shocked both Ash and Lucario as hard as he could. "Hey! What was that for? I didn't show the picture," Lucario protested. Why was Pikachu so mad? Zorua was a prankster who loved exposing secrets. But how could she share the news about Pikachu and Eevee if she was in her Pokeball? It was simple. Ash had created a dimension with his aura, allowing his Pokémon to be free instead of confined to their Pokeballs. Whenever he called a Pokémon back, the Pokeball transported it to this dimension he created. In this space, all the Pokémon could interact freely, surrounded by trees, rivers, ponds, and even a food tree. The beds were made of solid clouds, soft and edible, tasting like each Pokémon's favorite food. A few days later, Ash, Pikachu, Eevee, and Lucario returned from training with his other Pokémon. He grabbed 3 fruit cups and a bottle of ketchup for Pikachu. Noticing the blushing and stuttering between Pikachu and Eevee, Ash decided it was time for a plan. He was going to see the love expert. The next morning, Ash woke up early and entered the living room. He put his hands together, forming a circle, and concentrated on his aura, muttering a few words. A beam of light shot from his hands, creating a circle of light. Ash stepped through it into the Pokeball dimension. Knowing where all his Pokémon and their beds were, Ash headed to the love expert's bed. She was knitting a pink scarf when he greeted her. "Hello, Gardevoir." "Hello, Ash. What do you need?" she asked. "I need a plan." Ash explained the situation to Gardevoir, who quickly devised a strategy. Grateful, Ash returned to his room, where he found his Pokémon peacefully sleeping. Time for Operation Mate. Ash woke Lucario and shared the plan with him. Lucario nodded in agreement. After making breakfast, they ate quickly, leaving 2 pancakes for Pikachu and Eevee. Ash wrote a note and then used his aura to turn invisible, touching Lucario so he could do the same. They exchanged smirks, ready for Operation Mate to commence. An hour later, Pikachu woke up to find himself snuggling with Eevee. Blushing, he got up and roused her. "What time is it?" she asked sleepily. Pikachu glanced at the clock. "It's 8, I wonder where Ash and Lucario are," he said. "Probably in the living room waiting for us," Eevee replied with a yawn. They hopped off the bed and made their way to the living room. To their surprise, Ash and Lucario were nowhere to be found. What's that?" Pikachu asked, noticing something on the floor. They approached their food bowls and found a note between them. Pikachu and Eevee read it aloud. "Dear Pikachu and Eevee, Lucario and I are going shopping for more supplies and food. We didn't want to wake you since you were sleeping so peacefully, so we should be back in a few hours. See you soon. Sincerely, Ash." "Together?" Eevee exclaimed. "Hours?" Pikachu echoed. "What?" they said in unison. After a brief silence, Eevee stuttered, "Well, I guess we should eat." "Why yeah. I'm starving," Pikachu replied, both of them blushing. They ate their food in silence. "Well, I'm gonna go take a nap," Eevee said. Okay, I'll just watch some TV, Pikachu responded, still flustered. So, yeah, bye. Eevee said as she dashed back to the bedroom and curled up into a fluffy ball, quickly falling asleep. After an hour and a half of watching TV, Eevee emerged from the bedroom. So, what should we do? She asked. Oh. Let's get a snack. Pikachu suggested. Eevee nodded, and they raced to the kitchen. Pikachu jumped as high as he could to reach the counter, but his paws slipped, causing him to tumble onto Eevee. They both blushed. Sorry. Pikachu exclaimed as he quickly got off her. No problem. Eevee replied, getting up. Pikachu tried again, this time using Iron Tail to propel himself. He managed to grab a fruit cup and some ketchup packets. After jumping down, he opened the fruit cup for Eevee, blushing when their paws touched as she took it from him. After they finished eating, Eevee said, "Hang on. I'm going to grab something." She dashed into the bedroom. When she returned, she slipped on a pencil and fell on top of Pikachu, both of them blushing intensely. They locked eyes, each knowing what they wanted, but neither made a move. Miraculously, Eevee's head inched closer to Pikachu's, but she was so caught up in the moment that she didn't realize it wasn't her doing the moving. Then, they were so close, and Eevee's head moved even closer, and they shared a gentle kiss. After a few moments, they pulled apart. Cece, can I ask you something? Pikachu stammered. Why yeah, Eevee replied quietly. Okay. Here goes. Will you be my mate? Pikachu rushed out. Eevee couldn't believe her ears. Yes, she answered, and they smiled at each other, nuzzling for a long time before heading to the bedroom to snuggle and rest. Meanwhile, Ash and Lucario exchanged satisfied smiles. Operation Mate was a success. Ash opened the door and then closed it behind him, turning himself and Lucario back to visibility as they walked into the kitchen. Just then, Pikachu and Eevee emerged from the bedroom. So, Pikachu said, standing on his hind legs and crossing his arms, where are the groceries? Oops. Busted. After Pikachu and Eevee got over Ash and Lucario's interference with their love lives, they were grateful that it had pushed them together. With the tournament starting the next day, Ash decided to have a little run-in with the traitors. Time for Operation Alter Ego, he smirked, and his Pokémon cheered, ready for what was to come. Ash pulled a cloak from his backpack and put it on, obscuring his facial features. He rummaged through his bag and retrieved 3 items, a keystone on a Dynamax band, a Z-ring modified to hold Z-crystals, and a purple jewelry box. Opening it revealed 2 layers, each with a megastone attached to something wearable. He took out a bracelet with a megastone and put it on Lucario. Next, he retrieved matching collars adorned with thunderbolts and hearts, each featuring a unique megastone. He placed one on Eevee and the other on Pikachu. For the next hour, he equipped megastones on all his Pokémon, including the legendaries. Charizard wore a grand necklace holding 2 megastones, Mutwo had 3, one on each wrist and another on a necklace, and Arceus sported a fancy collar with intricate carvings, also holding 2 megastones side by side. With all his Pokémon ready, Ash turned to Pikachu, who asked in awe, "Wow Ash. Where did you get these?" "Arceus created them and gave them to me." "Oh. And there's something else I've figured out how to do with my aura," Ash explained. "What? Tell me." Pikachu urged excitedly. "You'll just have to wait and see," Ash replied with a grin. "Ugh. This is Pokémon abuse, I tell ya." "Pokémon abused?" Pikachu complained, while Eevee giggled, causing Pikachu to blush even more. Ash and Lucario chuckled quietly in the background. Suddenly, Ash's Rotom phone rang, announcing, "You have a call from Gary Oak." Ash and his Pokémon burst into laughter. After their moment of amusement, Ash answered the call. "Hey Ash. We're doing some intense training down here. You coming?" Gary asked. No thanks. I have some things to take care of, Ash replied. Alright, suit yourself. Smell ya later, Ashy boy. Gary. Hung up, and Ash set his phone down. Lost in thought, Ash contemplated his next move. What are you thinking about? Pikachu inquired. My alter ego. I want to make the traitors believe I'm someone else. I want them to think Ash and Shadow are two different people, Ash explained. Shadow? Pikachu asked. It's the best name I could think of, Ash replied. I like it. Pikachu exclaimed. A good name, Master, Lucario added, causing Ash to sweat a little. Great. Come on out. Ash called, throwing a Pokeball. Gengar, can you go and see where the traitors are? He asked. You got it. Can I? Gengar started, but Ash interrupted, no, you can't scare them. Fine. Bye. Gengar disappeared into the floor. Meanwhile, in the Pokémon Center lobby, Brock, Misty, May, Dawn, Clement, Serena, Iris, and Syllan were waiting. If Ash came out of his room, he would have to pass by the entrance. Unbeknownst to them, they were being watched from the shadows, but the eyes soon vanished. Back with Ash, Gengar emerged from the floor. They are waiting in the lobby, he reported. Thanks for your help. Return, Ash said, recalling Gengar. Well then, if they're in the lobby, that's where we will go. Pikachu and Eevee nuzzled each other before hopping onto Ash's shoulders. Ash locked his room and headed to the lobby, with Lucario following closely behind. Upon entering the lobby, Ash noticed some of the traitors sitting at a table, staring at the hallway leading to the rooms. It seemed May, Dawn, Misty, and Serena were preoccupied with something else, likely shopping, as Ash only saw Clement, Syllan, Brock, and Iris at the table. Ash approached them and asked, Are you waiting for something? You've been watching that hall for 6 days straight. His voice had matured over the years, sounding deeper now. As a matter of fact, we are waiting for someone. A kid with brown eyes, a red and white hat, a blue jacket, and a Pikachu on his shoulder, kinda like you, Brock replied. Are you talking about Ash Ketchum? Ash asked, and the group looked shocked. How do you know Ash? Who are you anyway? Iris asked suspiciously. I ran into him a few days ago and we battled. He took out a lot of my Pokémon too. I am the champion of the mountain, Shadow, Ash declared. You're the champion of the mountain. Iris exclaimed. The what? Brock asked. The champion of the mountain. Don't tell me you've never heard of him. Iris replied. Isn't he the trainer who lives on Coronet and beats trainers that challenge him with only one Pokémon? Clement added. Yes. And you're saying you're the champion of the mountain? Iris asked, turning to Ash, who nodded slowly. How do we know if it's true? Let's have a battle. Iris suggested. Ash agreed, and they moved to a battlefield. I will referee. This will be a 3 versus 3 battle. When all of one side's Pokémon are unable to battle, they lose. Trainers, please send out your Pokémon. Clement announced. Go, Dragonite. Iris yelled, throwing a Pokeball. Dragonite emerged. Let me show you what a real dragon is. Charizard, show them your burning flames. Ash shouted, releasing Charizard with a powerful roar that shook the ground. Charizard was much larger than a typical one. Battle begin. Clement declared. Dragonite, use Hurricane. Iris commanded. Dragonite flapped its wings rapidly, creating a hurricane that struck Charizard. When the wind settled, Charizard stood unharmed. What? Iris exclaimed. Use Flamethrower. Ash ordered. Charizard unleashed a burst of flames, leaving Dragonite weakened and kneeling. Come on, Dragonite. You can do it. Iris encouraged. Slowly, Dragonite rose and prepared to unleash its strongest attack. Use Hyper Beam, she shouted. Dragonite released a powerful beam that hit Charizard directly, but when the smoke cleared, Charizard appeared unfazed. Ash sweat dropped as everyone else looked on in disbelief. What? How? Just then, Dragonite collapsed. Dragonite is unable to battle. Charizard is the winner. Will the trainer please send out your next Pokémon? Clement announced. Iris returned Dragonite and threw out another Pokeball. Let's go, she yelled, and Druddigon emerged. Ash called back Charizard, surprising everyone. Huh? You're using a different Pokémon? Iris asked. Ash simply replied, go, as Eevee dashed onto the battlefield. Battle begin. Clement shouted. Use Metal Claw. Iris commanded. Druddigon lunged at Eevee, but Eevee swiftly dodged. Use Last Resort. Ash ordered. A giant star formed around Eevee and shot toward Druddigon, causing a stir. When the dust settled, Druddigon looked battered. Druddigon, use Dragon Tail. Iris shouted. Druddigon's tail glowed as it aimed at Eevee. Use Swift. Ash commanded. Eevee jumped and unleashed a flurry of stars that collided with Druddigon, leaving it confused and weakened. Use Double Edge. Ash shouted. Eevee charged and struck Druddigon, sending it crashing to the ground. Now use Swift Point Blank. Eevee jumped and sent stars at Druddigon, who was already on the verge of fainting. Druddigon is unable to battle. The winner is Eevee. Will the trainer please send out your last Pokémon? Clement declared. Iris returned Druddigon and threw out a Pokeball. Come on out, she called, and Gabite emerged. Ash prepared to send out his next Pokémon. Luxray. Luxray emerged, ready for battle. Let the battle begin. Iris shouted, Gabite, use Dual Chop. The fins on Gabite's arms glowed as it charged toward Luxray. Dodge it. Ash instructed. Luxray swiftly evaded the attack. Now, use Crunch. Luxray leaped and clamped down on Gabite's neck. Follow up with Wild Charge. Luxray unleashed a series of lightning bolts that struck Gabite, causing it to falter. Gabite, use Dragon Breath. Gabite released a powerful breath of energy that hit Luxray, and Iris smiled with satisfaction. As the dust settled, Luxray was revealed, grooming itself. What? Iris exclaimed. Now finish it with Giga Impact. Luxray charged forward, enveloped in energy, and collided headfirst with Gabite, sending it flying back. Gabite is unable to battle. The winner is Luxray, which means the victory goes to Shadow. Clement announced. Luxray turned its attention to Clement and growled. Calm down, Ash whispered. Luxray hesitated before looking away. Ash returned Luxray to its Pokeball. You really are the champion of the mountain, Iris remarked. Yes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have things to do and places to be. As Ash turned to leave, Iris called out, Wait. Where is Ash now? Ash smirked beneath his hood. He's close. Very close. With that, he walked away, leaving the small group in confusion.